The media was very into the genitalia of an 87-year-old man this weekend. I find it quite amusing, disturbing, weird. I don't even know how else to describe it to stay FCC compliant. But it came in the wake of an offhanded comment by Donald Trump, who was rallying in western Pennsylvania in the town of Latrobe, which is right where famous golfer Arnold Palmer grew up. For those of you who maybe aren't golf fans, Arnold Palmer is not just a drink. It is a real person and one of the best golfers ever. Had a great rivalry going back 50, 60 years with Jack Nicklaus and really helped put golf on the map as more of a television sport and a mainstream sport. So Arnold Palmer, God bless him, 87 years old. He died in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My goodness, it's been that long? It's been almost 10 years. I didn't realize that. I would have guessed a few years, but geez, it has been that long, huh? Go figure. Okay, now I'm starting to feel like John. Something I thought was a couple of years ago turned out to be almost a decade ago. I'm getting there.
Get some fish oil or ginkgo biloba.
So Arnold Palmer, God bless him, grows up in this town of Western PA where Trump is rallying over the weekend. And Arnold Palmer, there's a lot of stories about Arnold Palmer out there. This one from Donald Trump is not one I have heard about before, but it led to the media talking a lot about it over the weekend.
Arnold Palmer was all man, and I say that in all due respect to women, and I love women. But this is a guy that was all man. This man was strong and tough. And I refuse to say it, but when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, oh my God, that's unbelievable. I had to say it. We have women that are highly sophisticated here, but they used to look at Arnold and say, man, but he was really something special. Arnold was something special. So I just want to tell you, you're very lucky, the people that live in Latrobe, and it's an honor for me to be here because of him. And he was actually he was a great man, and I don't think there would be golf to the extent that you have it today. It probably wouldn't be that way without the great Arnold Palmer. So enjoy it, everybody. Enjoy it. And I had to tell you the shower part of it because it's true. What can I tell? We want to be honest. We want to be upfront. It's true.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so that was the story about the anatomy of the late, great Arnold Palmer being shared at a Donald Trump rally over the weekend. And I sit here and I roll my eyes. I love the line about, he was actually a great guy, too. He wasn't just hung like a horse. He was actually a good man. Well, thanks. I think Arnold would prefer to be referred to as a good man first, and then maybe the anatomy is like secondary to who he was as a human being. But some people, I guess they prefer to tell the story the other way. So this is just Donald Trump doing what he does at these rallies, right? People go there not to hear about policy. Let's be honest. You know the Trump policy. You're not going to a Trump rally because you're like, I don't know about this guy, Trump. I don't know how I feel. You go to the rally because you're a diehard supporter and you're going like to a comedy show. That's why you go. That's what it's about. You go for the energy. You go for the enthusiasm. It's a show. That's what you're going for. In a perfect world, would I prefer Trump talk about economic policy? Yeah, but you're going to an entertainment event. It's like the WWE. That's what you're doing. Would I prefer in a perfect world he not talk about the late Arnold Palmer's genitalia? Yeah, it probably would be better. But because of the stark differences that exist in this election, is that going to sway anybody? Is anyone going to be like, I really love Trump's policy, but I wish he wouldn't talk about Arnold Palmer's schlong? No. We're kind of beyond that right now. Like that kind of maybe worked in 2016, but it's not a thing that is going to decide someone's vote in 2024. It's not. But the New York Times and many others are reacting and writing about it like it's 2020 or 2016 and not 2024.
And they may be worried it's going to corrupt the white dudes for Kamala.
Yeah, that could
backing,
be
right.
That could be problematic.
Quite a few ways.
Yeah. So
you can't deny the possibility.
I cannot, John. You are correct. I cannot deny the possibility. New York Times writes about this. At Pennsylvania rally, Trump descends to new levels of vulgarity. They write here at the New York Times, former President Donald J. Trump on Saturday spewed crude and vulgar remarks at a rally in Pennsylvania that included an off-color remark about a famous golfer's penis size and a coarse insult about Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, CNN also talked extensively about this. Jake Tapper spoke with Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House. No irony lost there in Mike Johnson having to talk about Arnold Palmer's genitalia on CNN, but here's how that went.
But if President Biden had gone on stage and spoke about the size of a pro golfer's penis, I think you would be on this show right now saying you were shocked and appalled, and you would suggest it was evidence of his cognitive decline. I wonder how Trump's remarks, not just the one about Arnold Palmer on his, quote, manhood, but everything we've heard from Trump this week, how it fits in with the analysis that the New York Times offered a few days ago. They looked at his speeches from 2015 and 2016 and looked at his speeches today and said, quote, with the passage of time, the 78-year-old former president's speeches have grown darker, harsher, longer, angrier, less focused, more profane, and increasingly fixated on the past. I know you want to talk about policy, and I respect that, but the reason that Donald Trump is not up 10 points is because of comments like that one, where people do have concerns about his fitness, his acuity, and his stability. Why is he talking about Arnold Palmer's penis in front of Pennsylvania voters?
Jake, you seem to like that line a lot. Let me tell you that Donald Trump is doing rallies nonstop around the country.
Let me just say something. I don't want to be talking about this.
Right.
Donald Trump is out there saying it is.
But you continue to. Let's talk about.
Because you won't.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
You won't address it.
Jake Tapper goes on a 1-10 soliloquy about this Arnold Palmer story. And here's what Jake Tapper and many of his ilk don't realize. People hear that stuff from Trump, and he's right. If Trump honed it in a little bit, he would be up 10 points. So I will give Jake Tapper that much. That's the most accurate statement Jake Tapper has said in a very long time. So I will give him that. He's right. Trump's up 10 points if he has a little more focus. Totally agree. But here's what they do. They treat Donald Trump's offhanded story about Arnold Palmer in the shower like they should treat Kamala Harris's policy proposals or lack thereof. They are more outraged by Donald Trump telling a story about a dead man's private parts. I was trying to think of another. I've used a lot of different examples to describe.
Junk was the one you hadn't used.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. They are more offended, and they want to talk more about that than they do the policies of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and the ideas that Kamala Harris is proposing. They're more outraged by it as well. And that is so out of touch with tens of millions of Americans and the pain that they're feeling right now and where they're at right now. And they act like, well, this is an election where you could just write in whoever you want, or the perfect candidate somehow exists somewhere. The perfect candidate does not exist, first off, and the perfect candidate is not in this election. But what you have are two options that are completely opposed when it comes to visions for America and visions for America's future. And by the way, two resumes, I will add, that when stacked side by side over the last 8 years, tell two very different stories. So as much as the New York Times and Jake Tapper want to make it all about Donald Trump talking about the junk, to use John's example of Arnold Palmer, who died 8 years ago now, it's not going to hit. It's not going to work. And that's why you heard Mike Johnson, no irony there, respond as Speaker of the House saying, I know you guys want to talk about this. It's a little odd, but I promise you this is not where the people largely are at. And he's right to note that as well.